Most men stop explaining themselves after they stop feeling heard. And I think a lot of women miss that because men do not always react loudly first. Sometimes they react quietly. Sometimes they slowly stop explaining, slowly stop opening up, slowly stop trying to clarify themselves. Not because they don't care, but because after a while, it starts feeling pointless. And honestly, a lot of distance in marriage starts exactly like that, quietly, not through one big dramatic moment, not usually through one giant argument, but through repeated moments where somebody no longer feels emotionally safe being understood. And one thing I've learned after many years of marriage is that emotional safety matters more than people realize. People communicate differently when they feel safe. People explain differently when they feel safe. People stay emotionally open differently when they feel safe. And when that safety slowly changes, communication changes too. And I think women notice emotional distance faster than men notice it. But men often feel emotional shutdown before women recognize what's happening. Because men don't always verbalize emotional hurt the way women do. A lot of men internalize first. They withdraw first. They get quieter first. And women sometimes misread that silence. Sometimes women think he doesn't care anymore. He's distant. He stopped trying. But sometimes he stopped feeling heard. And there's a difference. And I'm not saying women are the only reason communication changes in marriage. Absolutely not. Marriage is two people. But I do think many women underestimate how much tone affects communication in a home. Because tone carries emotion, sometimes more than words do. And over time, people respond emotionally to atmosphere more than individual conversations. That's why peace matters so much. And I think people misunderstand peace sometimes. Peace is not pretending. Peace is not silence. Peace is not avoiding problems. Real peace is emotional safety. The ability to communicate without feeling attacked, dismissed, or emotionally unsafe. And once people stop feeling safe, they slowly stop sharing themselves fully. That's when distance quietly begins. And honestly, a lot of long marriages do not fall apart all at once. They slowly drift through repeated emotional patterns that people overlook for years. Patterns in tone, patterns in responses, patterns in how people speak to each other, patterns in whether someone feels heard, valued, or emotionally safe. And eventually, those patterns become the atmosphere of the relationship. That's why I always say, long marriages are built in small moments, not just big anniversaries, vacations, or special occasions, but everyday moments. How you respond after a long day, how you speak when frustrated, how you handle misunderstanding, how safe somebody feels bringing something to you emotionally. And one thing raising sons taught me is that men often say less when they stop feeling emotionally safe. Not because they have no feelings, because they don't always feel safe expressing them. And many women don't realize that, because women often process emotions outwardly. Men often process inwardly first. And if somebody repeatedly feels misunderstood, dismissed, corrected, or emotionally unsafe, eventually they stop trying to explain themselves altogether. And once communication reaches that place, distance builds quickly, quietly, but quickly. And I think one of the most important things in a long marriage is protecting emotional safety on both sides. Not perfection, not pretending, not walking on eggshells. Emotional safety. The ability to still feel heard, even during disagreement. Because disagreement is normal. Marriage will always have differences. But emotional safety determines whether those differences create connection or emotional distance. And I think a lot of people wait too late to recognize the shift because distance rarely arrives loudly first. It usually arrives quietly. In repeated overlooked moments. Moments people dismiss because nothing big happened. And honestly, that's why many couples miss the warning signs, because they're looking for explosions. They're looking for cheating, screaming, walking out, major betrayal. But many marriages don't first struggle through destruction. They struggle through emotional erosion, slow emotional disconnection over time. And emotional erosion is dangerous because it's subtle. People still live together, still function together, still handle responsibilities together. But emotionally, something starts thinning out. Conversations become shorter. Patience becomes thinner. Correction becomes sharper. People stop bringing things up because they already expect the response. And eventually, people stop feeling emotionally rested around each other. That's when the atmosphere changes. And I think atmosphere matters in a home more than many people realize. Because homes carry emotional energy. People feel tension. People feel peace. People feel criticism. People feel warmth, even when nobody says it out loud. And after many years of marriage, I've learned something important. People flourish where they feel emotionally safe. That applies to women too, not just men. Women also shut down emotionally when they feel unheard, unseen, or emotionally unsupported. That's why protecting emotional safety has to go both ways. Because marriage cannot survive long term if both people stay emotionally guarded. At some point, somebody has to become aware enough to recognize the shift before the distance becomes permanent. And awareness matters because awareness changes tone. Awareness changes responses. Awareness changes how people handle each other emotionally. And honestly, sometimes the strongest thing a person can do in a marriage is recognize what atmosphere they're helping create every day. Because long marriages are not sustained through perfection. They are sustained through emotional awareness, intentionality, grace, and consistent effort over time. And that right there is why small moments matter more than people think.